way, or?
Well,
Or
wherever you need it.
We're filling this hole.
Bring it. Make you. I'll give you time.
Well, good morning, everybody. Glad to see everybody bright-eyed and ready to go to work this morning. We're going to start with prayer this morning. I'm going to ask Representative Mathis if he will say a prayer for us this morning.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for the many blessings that you've given us. Help us make decisions that are pleasing to you and good for Georgians. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
We've got a couple bills on the agenda this morning, House Bill 1009 and House Bill 1055. We're going to start with House Bill 1009 this morning. Asked Representative Chairman Jones if he will come to the mic and present the bill, and then we'll take questions afterward. Podium mic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I appreciate you taking the time this morning. We have Bill 1009 LC 364969 in front of you. You should also have an overview of the bill, so hopefully that gives you some of the key summary points of the bill and each line number. What I'd like to do, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, is give a very quick opening statement, and then if you permit me to show a 2-minute video. Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Proceed.
What we're talking about here in the bill are personal delivery devices, commonly known as robots. And this is a great opportunity for the state of Georgia to start taking a little bit of a lead. We would be one of 20 states to effectively move into this position. So we're not quite, we're in the top half. I would have liked to have been, I'll be honest with you, #1, but that's okay. We don't have the pole position on this, but hopefully we'll take the pole position on the maturity of the robots. But essentially the personal delivery devices, as you can probably imagine, creates greater leverage for all of our logistics companies. And I'm sure there'll be other applications that so many other industries will be able to determine are proper. My thought was, instead of going through the technology, instead of trying to explain it to you in 1,000 words, we're going to use the old cliche of pictures worth 1,000 words, or in this case, a video possibly is worth 1,000 words. So with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to show that 2-minute video, please. Thank you.
Introducing Amazon Scout, an innovation in last mile delivery. Scout is an autonomous electric robot that safely navigates sidewalks to deliver packages in residential areas. Scout reduces vehicle congestion and offers a unique delivery experience. Amazon Scout delivery devices are built to be inherently safe. They're the size of a small cooler, are lightweight, and move at a walking pace. Additionally, Scout has an advanced system that enables it to detect and safely operate around pedestrians, pets, and other objects in its path. When a sidewalk is obstructed, Scout uses its advanced sensors to safely drive along the curb and re-enter the sidewalk at the next driveway. Scout uses the latest sensor technology to ensure it can safely cross the street and turns on high visibility lighting whenever in the street. When Scout arrives at a delivery address, the customer can retrieve their package and Scout continues on to its next delivery. Scout, a new last mile delivery innovation from Amazon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, in so many ways, we're at the Model T level of this type of development, but my hunch is it's not going to take us 100 years to get to where we are today, but rather probably just a few years to see that innovation take place. I think where we're at today is really at the base level. I think we're going to see significant movement, especially when it comes to, I'm going to say, auto delivery or self-delivery. As you saw there, the customer comes out and effectively takes it out of what looks like a moving cooler. There will be innovations, in my opinion, in the near term, where you'll see it be able to just effectively use some type of extending arm or some other type of device to actually place it onto a customer's porch. But right now, that is not technically enabled, but it is something that I would expect to be in every company's roadmap who would get into this business. Additionally, I think from a logistics standpoint, I think, again, that will probably be the first industry to leverage this type of technology, but I suspect that many other type of industries will see this as an opportunity to be able to leverage and create, in a sense, a delivery army that would allow them to do that with a tremendous amount of scale. And I think that's something that would be very important in terms of how they do that economically and also efficiently. Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, can I go through the bill very quickly, or would you like me to take questions now?
No, let's go through the bill and explain the bill first, and then we'll take questions.
Yes, sir. Members of the committee, if you'd be so kind, you should have gotten a document called HB1009 Overview. So I'll take you through that very quickly. You'll see in line 14 and 15 that there's an addition there in terms of motor vehicle has an exception now for a PDD or a personal delivery device. In the very next page on line 17 through 29, 17 through 22 effectively define what a PDD is. 23 through 29 defines what an operator is. Essentially, there's an individual or an entity that is operating that, and obviously not right there, but remotely. 49 or line 49 on page 3 inserts the word primarily. And that essentially means in terms of the sidewalk being of use, I'm a cyclist and I stay either in the bike lane or on the shoulder because technically I'm not supposed to be on the sidewalk. So in this case, we inserted the word primarily. You'll see moving forward in terms of line 52, essentially that it makes certain that a PDD are not considered vehicles. Then 56 through 79, you'll see it talks about all the parameters in terms of what it can do and what it cannot do. And this is effectively making sure that they are operated efficiently, they're operated safely, and we want to make sure that they're not carrying any hazardous materials. And I say that with a straight face. In terms of lines 80 to 85, you'll see that this exempts them from any type of mode or vehicle registration. And then finally, lines 86 through 89 speaks to the insurance requirement. And I apologize, I shouldn't have said finally. Lines 92 through 100 effectively makes it where we are going to have, I'll say, standardization across the state regarding the PDDs and their ability to deploy. We do not, and we hope that we don't get into a situation where may it be in 159 counties or 535 municipalities, I believe, that we have different rules, because you can imagine as a logistic company or any other type of industry, it'd be difficult to follow different rules in terms of what is and what is not considered a motor vehicle. Mr. Chairman, that is the summary of the bill.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. On the $100,000 liability, how do you come up with the adequate number? It says adequate coverage.
So I think, though I'm admitted to the bar, I try not to acknowledge that I'm an attorney. I've been trying to convince the speaker to take me off of judiciary, and he just won't do it. But at the end of the day, as I see it, I think $100,000 is applicable because of the fact that this is, as you saw, this is not a high speed moving object. This is something that you'll see in terms of what it can't do. It cannot go above 10 miles per hour. It has to follow all the rules. It has to stay within the crosswalk. If it's going to be on the sidewalk, it has to take certain precautions in terms of not running into, as you saw, the stroller, maybe the garbage can, etc. So there's a tremendous amount of, I'll say, restrictions on what it can do and what it can't do. So the feeling was that $100,000 was adequate in terms of what the liability insurance should be.
Number 22.
That's me, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Riedauer.
I have a few. You can please cut me off
Yes.
whenever. Some of it's just operational, and I know some of this is going to vary from company to company. But you mentioned, so obviously right now this particular technology doesn't have the option of delivering the package. So if it came to a door and they're not home, they would just return obviously they would just stay in there and return to whatever vehicle deployed it.
That would be, I believe, the going in position and standard operating procedure until we would expect it to be able to do that one day. Yes.
Sure. So if it gets out, so I'm assuming they're, do you know, like, so they would park a parent truck, if you will, somewhere localized and then deploy maybe multiple units, like, because it's the 1 mile, you know, the 1 mile, the last mile. So if they had 5 on a truck, somebody packs those 5 robots, send them out in different directions to different addresses. Is that kind of how that would?
I think that's one of the applications. So consider that to be, for instance, I lived in an HOA, about 350 homes. They all shop like my wife, so that meant a delivery every day. So essentially, I could imagine they would go to a central area, maybe the clubhouse at the HOA with a larger truck and then deploy. I think another way they could deploy is, I'll say, a centralized parking garage, a centralized parking lot, especially in a more dense city, that would allow them to do that so that they could charge and then also get loaded up and then deployed out. So I think there's a variety of different ways where you could use maybe a hub and spoke model.
Okay. One last question, if you don't mind. So you were saying they'd have to adhere to this and that. What is, if I missed it, I apologize. What is the penalty, or how would they be punished should a robot not follow the proper crossing laws? Whatever applicable laws that they would be breaking.
So if you go to if you go to lines 23 through 26, in terms of how the personal delivery operator will have to operate the device, that individual would be liable for, quote, going 50 miles an hour, for instance, on a sidewalk when you're only supposed to go 10 miles an hour on the sidewalk. So that would be what you would go to. You wouldn't per se ticket the machine, you would ticket the operator.
Thank you.
No different than if I rode my bicycle technically on a sidewalk. I'm not supposed to be doing that.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Number 25, Chairman Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On lines 96, these are the prohibitions against local government creating any ordinance. On 96, it prohibits taxation and imposition of any assessment of any fees. But this also include personal property tax that municipalities and counties charge for business equipment.
Chairman Powell, that's a very good question. During the drafting of this, we did not take that into consideration.
The reason I say that, I just got my assessment from my local governments on my office equipment and all of that type of stuff. Anything local governments tax you for your personal property, for anything business related.
Yeah, I think, Chairman Powell, it is rather broad because it does say the assessment of any fees or other charges, and that would prohibit the local authority from doing that. So I think there could be an interpretation of that made by line 96, subsection 3. I'm just wondering if maybe we should be more prescriptive.
Or strike that, or maybe redo that to say any special assessments other than property tax.
Mm-hmm.
And then also on line 99, types of cargo. What if local governments decide that things such as the delivery of alcohol and things like that? What if they decide, some jurisdictions, generally alcohol is not considered a deliverable item, but we're seeing that being stretched every year with wine sales from being imported out of, California and things like that.
So the imposition of, I'll say, anything around alcohol and delivery as such, as you saw today, the robot or the personal delivery device does not have the ability to check your ID. So there would not be any permission to move alcohol based on today's technology. Now, sir, 5 years from now, there's an ability possibly that through some type of scanning system or something to that effect, that there is an ability to take an ID and ensure that the person is of age. I would imagine that would be incorporated, but today the technology does not permit that. So there would be a blanket prohibition on alcohol, no matter what municipality that you're in, because the fact that technology doesn't enable it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions online? All right, at this time, we've got a couple people signed up to speak to the bill. Kathleen Bowman with ACCG. If she'll come to the podium. Okay, and Demetrius, both together, and GMA is Demetrius.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Kathleen Bowen from ACCG. We have sent this out to our members for feedback, and I've not gotten anything constructive that I want to stay in the county lane, right? They're bringing up other things that are not in the county lane. So we're still trying to get that feedback. I appreciate Chairman Powell for bringing up those points. I read it for face value and hadn't thought the way you had. So thank you for bringing up those questions about the taxation issue. I thought it meant not a special, something new on top of it, but thank you for asking that question. It does look like it might need clarification there. We don't have many sidewalks in the county, so I don't think this is, I don't think at the level that it's introduced right now, it's a county issue, but we've talked to the author and we've told him we'll continue to communicate with them should we have any concerns, but we're not trying to stop the progress at this point. Do you want to come up, Demetrius? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. Thank you, Kathleen, as well. To echo some of the points that Kathleen has made, and let me start off by saying my name is Demetrius Causer, first year GMA's Government Relations Associate. We spoke with the bill sponsor, Representative Todd, and we've also spoken with lobbyist John Pierce. And as of right now, we're just gathering feedback from our members concerning how the legislation could potentially affect them. Well, we're not seeing this as getting in the way of what could be a progressive thing. And we're also expecting that cities may not want to overly regulate this as well, but it would be essential to get that feedback from those 537 cities, particularly those that have college towns such as Athens and Georgia Southern, our urban areas such as Metro Atlanta as well. So we want to continue working with the sponsor of the bill, of course, lobbyists as well, and ACCG on this issue. And as a point of personal reference, again, this is my first legislative testimony that I've given. So I appreciate y'all again for the time. Thank you.
Good. Are there any feedback y'all would like for us to get from locals about how this could impact them? We're happy to do some research.
All right, well, thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Demetrius. At this time, I think the posture we would be in now, I guess the question that the Chairman Powell brought up, Chairman Jones, will you be open to an amendment on?
I am
To
open to-
clarify that?
Yes.
If Chairman Powell would like to.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I stand correct. We need a motion, a second on the bill first. We got a motion. We got a motion, and a second. Now we have an amendment. Thank you. And we might need Jenna to help us out with that.
6, to specify that of a special assessment or anything like this, a license fee or anything, to specify that nothing in this should construe to prohibit the taxation for personal business property. Something in that neighborhood. Jenna can certainly wordsmith that a lot better than I would.
And we give Jen a few minutes to the language that we need to do there.
I didn't sign up, but as Jenna does her
It'd
work,
be
I just wanted to fill the void.
Great time to do that.
So good morning, members of the committee. My name is John Watson, representing Amazon. And I just simply wanted to say thank you to Representative Jones for his continued leadership in technology and innovation. Obviously, we appreciate the opportunity to have our Scout shown on the video. We are in 4 markets today in terms of testing and utilizing this technology. Atlanta and Georgia was specifically chosen as a point of emphasis. We are also in Franklin, Tennessee, Irvine, California, and Seattle. So very, very anxious to make certain that we have adequate regulation that also incentivizes and keeps innovation and regulation in harmony. And that's what our intent is by supporting Representative Jones. So I just simply wanted to say thank you and appreciate the committee's time.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Watson? Number 22. Chairman, we don't.
Yes, sir.
John, good to see you this morning.
You as well, sir.
So you have 4 cities right now, and filling time, if she can cut me off, we'll just talk
Right.
for a second. But
Right.
how quickly do you guys see implementing this as you roll it out, or where are you at? When did it start? What city did you begin in?
It's they're really concurrent test markets, and each and every market has its individual flavor. Part of the strategy is to make certain that the company, in this instance, Amazon, learns from the communities that it's in, learns what is applicable to that market. There are obviously certain suburban environments that there's different types, whether that be Midtown or a Sugarloaf environment, different types of feelings and feedback, which we take into account. One thing I want to make reference to you, that there is what we call a dispensing operation, whereby the bots come back in. If there are software updates that are needed, the packages are loaded, and then the distribution goes from there. As Representative Jones made reference to, the hub and spoke process, whether that's out of a container type of environment or in a parking deck situation. But again, we're in the beta stage, as they call this, whereby we're learning from the marketplace as to what works best for our customers, as well as what works best for the technology.
How much do you know? I mean, how much one of these units costs?
Forgive me, I do not know.
Okay. Because I would imagine, yeah, you guys have a vested interest in when he's not getting run over by a car.
Sure.
Yeah.
I will say that, Ms. Tenori, not Tenori, that's her maiden name when we knew each other, but Kathleen had informed me, and she was kind enough in an initial conversation, that one of our flagship universities, Georgia Southern, is actually using a bot that looks almost identical to our robot to deliver food on campus at Georgia Southern. So it's getting out there. And again, we're just hoping to bring framework to it that enables everyone to look at the law for a level of definition.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Give Jenna one more time. Yes, can you read the amendment?
On a personal delivery device, other than any property tax charges, business license fees, occupation tax surcharges, otherwise authorized. Or on my side also.
Oh, yeah. Number 20,
That sounds good to me, and I'll make that motion, and we accept that as an amendment, as a
we've got
committee
a,
substitute.
we've got a motion and a second on the amendment that Jenna read. I think we vote on the amendment now. So all in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, now we're going to vote on the bill as amended. Do we have a motion? We got a motion and a second on the bill. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. We have one no.
I said,
Okay, all right.
I'm not gonna sit up here and be no by myself.
All right, the bill passes
Chairman,
as amended.
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And at this time, we've got one other bill on the agenda, and that is Chairman Ridley, House Bill 1055.
No, right off the bat. I got a House Bill 1055 LC 393159. This is sweeping legislation that I'm glad y'all are here for today to be part of. What we're doing, if you look on line 10, we are changing the dry weight of an ATV from 2,500 pounds to 3,500 pounds. And that's all the bill does. And the reason being we're doing this is because, like everything else, a lot of these are starting to go to electric. And so the batteries weigh a little more and the vehicles are getting a little bigger, your side by sides and that kind of thing. So that's what the bill does. I'll take any questions.
Do we have any, number 27?
Why would I?
Thank you,
McLean?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess to the author, you went from 2,500 to 3,500, and that because of,
Because they're going to electric, so their batteries are way more, make the ATVs way more.
thank you, sir.
Do we have any other questions? Any online? Seeing no questions, now would be the proper time for a motion. We got a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion. Bill carries that. And the meeting will be adjourned. That's all we have on the agenda this morning. We'll probably have another meeting next Tuesday. Thank y'all. All right, Danny, we're gonna get you out for your meeting.